Okay, so I don't know why I have a very bad connection. There we go. Alright. Hey. Okay. Just checking it out here. What's up, YouTube? Lightsaber Samurai here. And let me see. Going to my channel here, so I don't think there's anybody in here yet. That's cool. Okay, can they see me yet? Okay, can they see me yet? Okay, so we're allegedly live. I don't know how I don't know how this is, if this is streaming okay. If it's not streaming okay, I'm just testing testing the connection right now. If it's not streaming right, then I might have to try something else. So let's see. Anybody in the live chat? Okay, seems to be okay, but do I have to have this camera vertical? Okay, it looks like this bad boy vertical like this. So I'm not freaking sideways? That's ridiculous. Oh, shoot. Sorry, give me just a second. I gotta figure this out. So I'm using the super unconventional method. Okay, fine. I guess we'll do it like that. Alright, so again, just testing this out. Okay. So for those who don't know me, you know, I go by Lightsaber Samurai on YouTube. My real name is Antoine. Let's see what else about me. I'm about to be 32 years old. I'm an avid gamer. And so, like I said, I was just been a rough day at work. I thought I'd just kind of unwind and just chill out in the game room a little bit. And so then I got the idea, just figured out, you know, try going live. I've never done it before. You know, if anybody's watching this, then I have my computer set up. You can kind of follow me and, you know, just ask a few questions here. So like I said, if anybody's watching this, you know, feel free to jump in and, you know, we'll get this thing started here. Like I said, not doing much, just sitting here working in the basement. While we wait for people to come in, and who knows, maybe nobody will show up, but that's cool. If not, you can come back and watch this video later. Let's see, a couple of things going on with the channel. Like I said, again, I'm trying to get on dropping at least one video every week. I'm actually on vacation all of next week, so I'll spend a lot of that just, you know, down here creating content, and hopefully I can stockpile a couple of videos so I can get to dropping them every week. Let's see, so some things I got coming up soon is a game room tour. Like I said, this is still very much a work under progress. It's pretty dingy down here, even still, though I got, you know, pretty much most of my collection set up down here. Like I said, I'm still working on it. I gotta do some more work on the roof and stuff. Of course, these walls, just straight up cement slabs behind me. But honestly, I don't know if I want to do anything with the walls. I'm just renting the place at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know if I want to actually like invest in doing anything if I'm not like actually living here or what the case may be. Sorry, sip some water real fast. So, I don't know. I may go ahead and just paint it just for the sake of aesthetics. I do plan on being here, for at least another, few years. So, I may as well go ahead and paint. One of the things, though, I'm dealing with leakage down here. Still trying to patch all this stuff up, and it's proven to be quite difficult. Concrete down here is very stubborn, so I don't want to get into painting or putting some kind of like wallpaper up or something, and then it just end up leaking through and damaging whatever I put up. So, but like I said, game room tour hopefully this month. Not even hopefully, for sure. Actually, I'll be shooting the game room tour next week. So I'll breeze over kind of just an overview of the game room. Like I said, I was at about 300 when I did it last year, and as of right now, I've got my collection sitting at about 550. So, so it's pretty big improvement. I got a lot of cool stuff, as you've been seeing in the pickups video. Speaking of pickups video, I got a new pickups video coming up within the next week or so. I got a bunch of Dreamcast games, and a lot I scored at a local store. So. I wanted to show that, but I'm having trouble hooking it up to my TV. So I think I need to go down and buy some different connectors to hook my Dreamcast up, so I can capture at least some of my footage, just kind of show you. But I got some cool stuff in that. Nothing. I got one actually that was quite rare, but most of them, staples like I don't know, like Sonic Adventure and stuff like that. Like I said, I had never played the Dreamcast. When it was around. I think I might have played some Marvel vs. Capcom 2 over at my buddy's house, but that was basically it. So that was it. There's a couple of games that, like Blue Stinger, I think was supposed to come out on the PlayStation 1, but ended up getting canceled or whatever the case. So Blue Stinger never came out, so that was one I picked up, and so I'm looking forward to playing that. What else I get? I got this sitting right here. And one thing I'm excited for is this bad boy right here. So this is, I got the SNES Classic, and I showed that, but this here is the AtGames version, and this is called the, what is this called? The Sega Genesis Flashback HD. And like I said, this, unfortunately, Sega... since the Dreamcast, they officially do not make hardware anymore. AtGames is a third-party hardware developer who made this for them, and it's basically a mini Model 1 Genesis. Comes with two wireless controllers, and 2.4 gigahertz frequency. It's got 85 games in it. One of the cool things about it that I like right away is that it has a bunch of Genesis games, but also has some Master System games as well as some Game Gear games, and so that's cool to play Game Gear games on your HD TV. I mean, that's pretty dope. Like I said, of course, hooks up via, unfortunately, HDMI only, but like I said, I was watching a video with John Riggs. He was, going over the system, and like he said, I mean, you're basically buying it for the HDMI, so that shouldn't be a problem. The coolest thing, though, is it has a working cartridge slot, so you can pop in your own Sega Genesis games and play the Genesis games like that. What I want to see... And I need to get a hold of a power base converter, because what I want to see is if I can slap a power base converter in this system and play Master System games like that. I think that'd be pretty dope if you can do that. So like I said, I mean, AtGames, they've released some questionable hardware in the past. All initial accounts is that this one is the real deal, so I have not even cracked it open yet. I got my Super Nintendo Classic. I still haven't opened that damn thing. I was going to take it out to mod it and this and that, and so I think I'm going to wait first because sometime next week also I'm going to be shooting a versus video between this console and that console to see just to kind of bring back that 16-bit era, feud that was going on between Sega and Super Nintendo. And like I said, we all know the SNES Classic is awesome, but I mean, what I want to see is if this is just another one of AtGame's, terrible hardware machines, or, does this system really do what Nintendo don't? So, yeah, be happy to do a video on that in the future. Like I said, what else, down the line, I've got a Xbox 360 Hidden Gems Part 3 coming out. Capturing gameplay for that right now, and so I'll shoot the live action stuff probably next week as well. So like I said, that's what I've been doing the last couple of nights, is just capturing gameplay footage for some of the the games that are going to feature in a lot of the videos coming up. And when I actually have free time next week, I'll come down here and shoot a bunch of live action stuff. And so hopefully my goal this week is to get at least half a dozen or more videos done, so I can start releasing those on a weekly basis, and just so I can get a stockpile up. And of course I'll be working on other videos in the meantime as well. I got a couple of unreleased videos that I did on a couple of things that just time got away from me, so I never got into doing them. So kind of want to go back and finish those and then publish those as well. So like I said, it should be, I've got, at least ideas for probably about a dozen new videos coming down the pipe. I'm going to get the majority of those done next week, and so I'll start releasing new videos as early as next week. So like I said, I dropped the Famicom video about a week ago. That's been doing okay. Like I said, just watch it if you haven't seen it. It's a pretty good video. Looking for more Famicom games so I can start, featuring those in future videos. And that's about it on that. As far as what I got coming up, got some more ideas, but I don't want to go blabbing those at the moment. So, like I said, that's what I've got going on for the foreseeable future. Like I said, I've been working down here a lot. Behind me is my newest shelf. This is my Sony collection. Like I said, in the last year, I've added, at least 250 games to my collection. So I've almost doubled, what I had a year ago. And so, I had to get a lot more shelving space for it. What systems did I add? I added, the Wii U. I've added the PS Vita. I got a bunch of new stuff for the Game Boy Advance. I added the Wii, and a bunch of stuff, also, another system, starting to collect some games for that. And like I said, I'm keeping that under wraps, so that's going to be for the next pickups video that I'm going to do. So like I said, I'm excited. Got a lot of big plans for the channel. Hopefully I can be more consistent, and start to grow the channel a lot more. And sorry if you hear all that racket. I've actually got some family upstairs visiting. My brother's here, hanging out with my mom upstairs. He's showing her some stuff. I think my nieces are running around too. So, yeah. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and kind of a topic that got me into, it got me wanting to do a Sunday night video in the first place, is kind of like gaming history. I've seen a couple of people do videos on kind of their gaming history, and a lot of people do ask me, do I consider myself a Nintendo or a Sega fanboy, or what's my favorite system? Like, kind of how did I get into gaming? How did it all start? And so I guess we can talk about that a little bit. Actually, let me hop back here. As I almost knock over my lamp. And my foray into gaming started with this guy right here. So for those of you who don't know, this is an Atari 2600. It's my mom's unit. This is actually it says Video Arcade here. So this is the Telegames version. I believe this one they were selling exclusively at Montgomery Ward. I think they were kind of making their own version of it, and it's a 6-switch. And I can't remember which two are added on the 6-switch. I want to say it's the skill level ones. I think that's what it is, like the skill level for multiplayer games and stuff like that. The Atari 2600 is still a pretty fun system. I haven't popped this in a while. But like I said, the Atari 2600, cool system. I may do a video on this at some point. I'm not at all very expert at the Atari 2600. Like I said, this is my first exposure to video games, and of course we had a bunch of the Tiger handhelds back in the day. A lot of those, man, I wish I still had those. I think even at one point I had like a Game & Watch system or two. So man, like I wish I hadn't gotten rid of that stuff. But as far as the Tiger stuff, you know, it comes and goes and, you know, kind of disappears and stuff. But yeah, like I said, the Atari 2600, man, had some fun games. Combat, which is actually right behind me here on the shelf down here. I had like, that is, I mean, I watch a lot of videos talk about games that push the hardware limits. I think Combat is definitely one for the Atari 2600. I packed a lot of content in that game. It's a bunch of different mini games. You can battle tanks, battle planes, and things like that. So yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. That was one of my favorite games on the system. Let's see. Hero was really good on the 2600. Missile Command was pretty awesome. My favorite one, though, one of my favorite games was Night Driver, I think is what the name. And I'm looking for that one. I'd like to add Night Driver back into my collection. I had a lot of fun with Night Driver. It was basically, you know, kind of a rudimentary racing game. Played kind of like Rad Racer on the NES. Just kind of more primitive, just pre-8-bit. But Night Driver was pretty cool, man. I enjoyed that one a lot. What else I used to play? Demons to Diamonds, Haunted House, like a bunch of stuff. So, like I said, I got this unit at a garage sale for about $20. So, and it works. So, like I said, I haven't hooked it up and played it in a while, but definitely it works. So, I'm gonna set that down. And so that was basically it. The Atari was it for the first few years of my life. Like I said, I was born in 1985. So my earliest memories of gaming were with the Atari. I think it was the Christmas of 1990. It was either, yeah, I want to say Christmas of 1990. That's when we got the NES. And for a while, that was it. The NES, I've got a bunch of titles back here. Most of these are original. The cartridges I've had since, you know, 1990. Basically between like 1990 and like 95, 96. Some of my favorites on the system, of course, as far as the Mario games, Super Mario Brothers, of course, was awesome. Mario 3 was, you know, probably, you know, what most people say the best in the series. But man, Super Mario Brothers 2, like, I like this so much. Of course, for the, you know, most of you know this is a you know, kind of a reskin on a game called Doki Doki Panic. They brought that over here because the original Super Mario Brothers was hard as hell, and they knew gamers weren't going to fool around with it, so they went ahead and reskinned that game. And like I said, like, the Mario universe fits so well into it. And like I said, for us, it felt like a true sequel. I mean, they added more content where you can play as, you know, all four main characters, you know, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. And that was the game that gave all those four characters their natural attributes. They carried on to, I mean, even games as late as, you know, Super Mario Brothers 3D on the Wii U. I mean, all the attributes are the same. You know, Luigi's the guy with the super jump, you know, kind of the floaty jumps. Mario's the all balanced character. Peach, you know, has that floating ability, and then Toadstool is the fastest. So, yeah, like I said, that was the one that put them on as far as that goes. What else was another game? This one here, Trojan. Definitely, I would consider this a hidden gem. As far as like I said, even in the Nintendo circles, I don't hear a lot of people talk about Trojan. Man, I remember we used to play this. Actually, I just beat this game last year when I was in North Carolina, on training for work. And so I brought my Retron 5 on the plane, took it to the hotel room, and, you know, my classmates, they were jealous. Like, man, you're in there playing, like, NES games? Like, yeah, man, I was I was nerding out, and they all wanted to come over to my room. And so, a couple of nights, they came over to my room, and we were playing like some Mario Kart and things like that. And so it was just a blast. But man, this game, kind of like a side-scrolling action game. You play as some kind of knight in like a post-apocalyptic world, and you're supposed to take out this evil emperor named Achilles. The boss battles in it were great. The graphics are really good for the time. This game, this is a port from an arcade game. In a lot of ways, I like this way better than the arcade port. Like I said, it's just a really well made game. They threw a little versus fighting side game in it where you and player two can just like slap each other with your swords until somebody goes down first. But it was a 2D side by side with the life bars and everything. Fun fact: this is made by Capcom, and that was the first time that they ever did that. Like that was basically their first idea for a fighting game. It's the first time they had a game where characters on opposite ends fought, until someone's life bar drained. So that was really cool. So Trojan is awesome, a lot of fun. What's some of my other favorite games? Who can forget Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game? I played this recently with my brother when he got back, and I wanted to drop that video. We did a cool gameplay video with that, but, the stupid data got corrupted. And so all I have is the audio left from the audio and the gameplay footage, but I had some live action camera footage set side by side with the camera that we're going to add to it. And like I said, after that data got corrupted, I still could release the video because it would just have the gameplay footage and then our voices in the background, but I mean that's not the way I wanted to release the video, and so I just ended up giving up on that. So that one's still in the archive. But like I said, I mean there wasn't a lot of games that played where you could play two players simultaneous on the NES. That was still kind of rare, and so it was cool that you could do that in this. And I mean this is a really cool beat 'em up. One of my favorites in the 8-bit generation. I actually like this better than Double Dragon. So I remember we used to play it in the arcade game, or in the arcades all the time, and so the arcade version of that was really badass. And at where did we go play? Usually at North Rock Lanes was a bowling alley. They had the deluxe edition there where you could play 4 players simultaneous. So it'd be me, my brother Michael, my brother Marcus, and my cousin Tony. We'd be out there, or my cousin, sometimes we went with my Aunt Val and my cousin Bernie would be out there playing with us. We'd be getting down on some Ninja Turtles. Like, yeah, so brings back a lot of nostalgic memories. So I'll do like a couple more. What else did I play a lot of? Oh! So, Skate or Die. And that's got that original... Where did I get that for? $15. It's certainly not worth that now. I mean, you could probably get that. This is probably like a $5 game, but I bought this. We got this from Kmart in like 92, 93, like a long ass time ago. And basically, this is done by Ultra Games. It's basically Konami. And in this, it takes place like kind of in a skate park, and you're doing like 5 events. And that's kind of like kind of in a versus, mode. And so this game is not that great. And it didn't really hold up. I got the nostalgia goggles on, so it's, so me, I can get down with it. But most people who play this game now, like, probably won't really dig it, except for one event, and the Joust event. And I remember my brother Michael used to kick our ass on this. And see, the thing about us, like we were poor, we still poor, but we were hella poor. And so I basically missed the 16-bit generation almost entirely. What I played is, what I played over, friend's house or relative's house. Like we never owned our own Super Nintendo. We never owned our own Sega Genesis. Like we had the Nintendo basically until 1990s. We were rocking the Nintendos till like 98. You know what I'm saying? So from like 1990 to like 98. This was the only home console we had in the house besides the Atari 2600. Of course, I got down on a lot of handhelds. The Game Boy was my jam right there. So I played a lot of Game Boy. And I was huge in the Game Boy. I had the Game Boy, switched to the Game Boy Pocket, which is cool. That I got this, I showed this in a previous video. I got this from a pawn shop for like $3, And like I said, I mean, it's a working Game Boy Pocket. I don't play it a lot, but like I said, again, the nostalgia glasses, I have one just like this little silver one. And so, I popped this in. I was playing some Final Fantasy Legend 2 like I used to back in the day. And man, like I jumped right back. Took me right back to like 95. Like, it was dope. And so, I mean, we had this. Let's see, then of course the Game Boy Advance. When Pokemon took off, I mean, we were all about Pokemon. And so, like I said, handheld, if it wasn't for the Game Boy, I don't know what the hell I would have did. Like, the Game Boy basically held me down as far as like video games went until we got our PlayStation. And now, so the PlayStation, we got that Christmas in 1998. And I remember because we had 2 games with it. My dad got us the PlayStation, and he got us, one was Tomb Raider 3. And I don't have Tomb Raider 3 in my collection anymore. And I should go get it. But the other game we got, like I said, a bit of a hidden gem. And I'll be showcasing this soon. And this is Ninja Shadow of Darkness. And Ninja Shadow of Darkness at the time was awesome. It was crazy. It was made by the same group that did Tomb Raider 3. And so this is an isometric beat 'em up at its core gameplay, as far as the gameplay goes. But they threw in a lot of some like puzzle elements and threw in some platforming. This is not an easy game. This is a tough game, just like Tomb Raider 3 was. It was hard to figure out the puzzles and stuff. But you got some awesome weapons in this game, some awesome ninja magic. His head wasn't quite circle playing the game. He looked pretty badass in the cutscenes and some of the artwork that they would show like on the loading screens. He looked like badass, but in the gameplay, his head was kind of square at the top. But that was cool. We didn't even care. Like, I mean, I must have put in so many hours on this game. Beat it once, and I think that was because I used codes. But yeah, I beat it though, and it was still not easy, man. But yeah, I'm looking at the back of it. Heck yeah, like looking at some of the scenes. I should play this soon. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna play this tomorrow. Kick off my vacation with some Ninja Shadow of Darkness. But we had that and Ninja Shadow of Darkness. We had those 2 games, man. And we had this demo disc. And I've got a lot of the games that were off of the demo disc, again, for nostalgia purposes. That had like Rallycross 2. And I remember, it had the snow level in it. And all we did, like, just to make the demo last longer, as we would go the opposite direction and go back the other way and then try to ram the cars as they came through, try to, it took place on this mountain level, try to ram them off the road and stuff. Played the hell out of that. What else was on there? I can't remember everything that was on that demo disc. I remember that game was on there. I think I had a Bug's Life was on there, which was lame. Spyro the Dragon was on that one. And so I had to get Spyro the Dragon in my collection. But the main attraction on that, it had the demo of Metal Gear Solid. Okay, and so Metal Gear Solid played from the beginning until you got to the DARPA chief. And again, we played, I mean, I must have put like 20 hours into the demo, like, and we just played and played and played that game. And then when we finally got the full version one day, it was over. Like, I mean, Metal Gear, because of that, like, Metal Gear Solid is probably my favorite franchise of all time. So whatever Hideo Kojima's doing with Metal Gear Solid, like, I'm messing with that. So I mean, yeah, just the PlayStation. I mean, people ask me if I'm a Nintendo or a Sega fanboy. Honestly, man, I'm a Sony fanboy. I mean, like I said, I had to get my own shelf, a whole shelf just for the Sony stuff, and all the way from the PS3 to PS2 to PlayStation 1, and then at the very bottom I got PSP. At the bottom, I mean, like PlayStation, I got my Vita stuff over there. I mean, PlayStation, man, that's like my heart right there. Like some of the greatest games of all time. Some of my top 10. I'm pretty much most of my top 10 of all time. I'd say about 7 of them were on the PlayStation 1 and 2. So it's a toss up between which one I like more, but I would probably have to say the original PlayStation because that one impressed me the most. Because like I said, I missed the 16-bit generation. The 32-bit generation started with like the Amiga CD and like oh, what was it, like the 3DO and like the Atari Jaguar and stuff like that, and the Sega Saturn, you know. And of course, N64 jumped in later, and you know, just right after. But man, like PlayStation though. Now remember, we had the choice between a PlayStation and an N64, and I think a lot of people who are my age, I think that's like a critical turning point in their life. Like, if you got the N64, then you're diehard Nintendo fans, and you know, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, if you were like, you know, because me, I was like, what, like 10, 12 years old playing the PlayStation, and so that was right there. That was like my formative, like, gaming years right there. And so, like I said, we went the route of PlayStation. So me and all my brothers, hardcore PlayStation fans. You know, I like other systems. I really like Microsoft too. You know, I adore the original Xbox. The Xbox 360 was an awesome system. The Xbox One is definitely better than a lot of people give it credit for. They got a lot of good games, and I think some of those games I like the versions are better. But man, like the PlayStation One though. So like I said, the Sony stuff is, I mean, it makes up over half my entire collection, and so I had to get a spot dedicated just for it back here on this wall here. And so, man, like, I'm just impressed. Like I said, still a lot of titles that, some of the titles I used to have back then that I'm still trying to get back in my collection. Some of them, unfortunately, got expensive now, and so, like I said, I'm really just trying to pick those up. And so, yes, I mean, it was PlayStation for, you know, from 98 until like probably like 2001. Okay, and so funny story about this, because most people that know me personally know I'm a huge fan of music. My dream job it would be to teach vocal music at some point. Don't know if I'm gonna get there, but I mean, I really like, you know, I really love the vocal music program at my high school and my middle school a lot, and so that's kind of, you know, the biggest passion of mine. You know, right probably say right above video games. Like, I mean, I like music probably slightly more than I like video games. Or maybe they neck and neck. I don't know. But anyway, it was cool, like, story about that, because I'm in middle school when we get our PlayStation 1. And, you know, to get it, like, we basically all had to have good grades. You know, my dad was telling us about, you know, make sure y'all got good grades, because we got report cards like a few weeks before Christmas break, and so we got, you know, so he would know by Christmas, you know, if we were all doing good in school. I was not, at least not compared to my other brothers, you know. And so I asked my brother Michael, what should I do? It was him who suggested that I get in the choir. And honestly, like, you know, he was just like, get in the choir because you just got to show up, and, you know, it'll be an easy A and this and that. And that's what I did. So I get my GPA up because I didn't want to get my ass whooped. You know, because my dad, like I said, he don't bluff. My dad would have took the belt to me for having like all them Fs. You know what I'm saying? Having shitty grades. And in fact, he has in the past, you know. So, you know, my dad don't play. You know what I'm saying? My moms don't play either. So, yeah, I had to get them grades up. So I did that. Got my grades up. And, you know, we ended up getting a PlayStation. We didn't know we were going to get a PlayStation. We know we were going to get something good. We thought it might be a new game system, you know. But we didn't know it was going to be that good. So we got the PlayStation. Fast forward to 2001. I'm in 10th grade. You know, I'm doing the music thing because, you know, I like it, you know, more than I'm admitting to myself. And it was, you know, that, you know, I was guaranteed to get that A, you know, just as long as I put in the effort, which I enjoy putting in the effort. Like I said, I was passionate about it early, way before I really knew how passionate about it I was. And so, you know, same deal. We want a PlayStation 2. We're going to get that PlayStation 2. And it was the same deal. We had to have them grades right. But my grades were kind of slacking, but I already had music, you know, so I was already taking a music class. I'm like, what am I going to do? I ended up taking the theater, you know, taking drama 1. So I'm in theater now, taking that class, and I'm doing okay at it. But my teacher, she's like, hey, you know, the musical's coming up. If you if you participate, if you audition and get in, or like participate in the musical, you know, that D can be an A. So I was like, bet. So I did that. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It was the craziest experience. Like, I never felt so like left out. Like, I was so, I mean, not even left out because everybody was really friendly to me. Everybody was really nice. But man, like, I felt so out of my element. This wasn't the crowd I was used to talking to. This weren't the people I was used to hanging around with. I didn't really know anybody. I knew a couple of people, from choir, but, that wasn't really the group I talked to. So it was a crazy, like, that was, I mean, you want to talk about getting out of your comfort zone. Like, that was a crazy experience right there. So I did that, but by the end of it, by the time we got through all the rehearsal, we did the show, I was hooked. And so, of course I did that. I got in as a minor character, like part of the chorus. So we did a Pippin that year, musical Pippin, and got my A. And so I didn't get an ass whooping because, like I said, I would have got an ass whooping from my dad for having bad grades, and I probably would have got an ass whooping from my moms for having bad grades. Any relatives that would have been around, like an aunt or uncle that heard about it, probably would have whooped my ass too. And then on top of that, if I'm the only one of my brothers that got fucked up grades, then they would have whooped my ass too. So it basically just like a circle of ass whooping that I would have been in the middle of. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that problem. So I went ahead and did the drama thing. Love drama. Like, I'm a part of that now. That's, what I was doing throughout the rest of high school, and so, I mean, the rest is history. So, like I said, I basically, got into music because of video games. So that's how video games motivated me and saved, like most of my high school career. And like I said, I was able to branch out and actually find what I was truly passionate about. Video games helped me do that. As crazy as that sounds, I tell people that, it's like, what? But yeah. So like I said, it was PlayStation 2. It was deep in the PlayStation 2. I got my PS2 collection right behind me. Some of the highlights, of course. Now, this is crazy. Now, as much as I love Metal Gear Solid, I don't have, like, Metal Gear, 2 and 3 came out on the PlayStation 2. I don't have either one of them because I have Metal Gear, the trilogy, the HD remasters on the PlayStation 3. So that's usually how I play those games if I'm playing Metal Gear nowadays. Also, I got Metal Gear Solid on the Vita, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 remaster on the PS Vita. So that's kind of how I play nowadays. Like I said, shout out to Final Fantasy 12. Final Fantasy 12 was awesome. And like I said, this is not uncommon to have the Steelbook edition, but I like it. Comes with the bonus disc with some soundtrack and like some behind the scenes footage and stuff. And so, like I said, what I paid for that, I paid $11 for that once it got cheap. And so it's been in my collection for a couple of years ever since. Let's see, but as dope as Final Fantasy 12 was, I gotta give it to 10, man. Like, Final Fantasy 10 did to me on the PlayStation 2 what Final Fantasy 7 did to me on the PlayStation 1. And man, like I said, I played Final Fantasy 7, loved Final Fantasy 7, beat it. Like, that was the game that got me into JRPGs for the most part. I played like the Final Fantasy Legend games I was talking about on Game Boy. I played those a lot. And so I was into that. Ultima Runes of Virtue on the Game Boy too. I love that game a lot. But man, like Final Fantasy X, I mean, like, it had full voice actors and the graphics. Like I said, that was because this was the first good RPG that was on the system. I mean, there were some games that were good, but they weren't Final Fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Like the Summoner games that came, I think the original Summoner launched with the PlayStation 2 and it had a sequel. Summoner was okay. You know what I'm saying? Dark Cloud was cool. Was it a Dragon Quest? Was it Dragon Quest 5 that came out? No, Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter. That's what it was. That game was cool. Evergrace, and like I said, there was some games that were cool, but man, we were waiting for Final Fantasy though. That was the RPG, the effing RPG on that system, and man, like, that just took it over the top. Like, I mean, every way. The graphics were perfect. The story was awesome. The game itself was pretty linear, as far as like, the world map and stuff like that. But I would say that's probably like the only minor gripe. Blitzball, like, once I got the hang of playing Blitzball, like, I put probably, I probably put 90 hours just in playing Blitzball on this damn thing alone. So, um, man, Final Fantasy. I'd like to find a black label, but I think this is the greatest hits version I had since forever ago. So, um, yeah, like I said, that was a really good one. I'm looking through here. Of course, bit of a hidden gem. I talked about that in my last pickups video. That's God Hand. That game is a dope beat 'em up. Like I said, spoiler alert, I am gonna do some episodes on beat 'em ups, on 8 and 16-bit beat 'em ups, as well as 32-bit and beyond on the beat 'em ups. So I kind of do like 3D beat 'em ups, and then I also do like side scroller or like belt scroller 2D beat 'em ups as well. Um, I'm trying to look through, man. Like, what's another game that like really just like put me on? Like, so like I said, there was Metal Gear, there was Final Fantasy. Like I said, quick shout out to Metal Gear Frontline. Now, funny thing about it, on the PlayStation 1, Medal of Honor 1 and Medal of Honor Underground, those were the games that got me in the first person shooters. Like I said, I missed the 16-bit era like completely. So, Wolfenstein, Doom, like I hadn't even played those games. Like I said, the later games came on PC like Duke Nukem and stuff like that when they were popping up, Duke Nukem 3D and Marathon and like Disruptor on the PlayStation 1. That's a pretty cool first person shooter, but I hadn't played any of those until I played Medal of Honor. Like that was the game that got me into just playing. And I was working as a paper boy at the time at Penny Power. So that was actually, I'll never forget, that was actually the first game I bought with my own money. Like the first PlayStation game I went out and bought with my own money. I used to make $50 a month, delivering Penny Power papers. And I got Medal of Honor. And like this game, like the enemy AI was like unheard of at the time. Like, they act, German enemies that actually spoke German, like that was hella badass. The graphics for the time were awesome. Headshots were a thing. Like you could play, like you can, hit them in the head and they would actually die on the first hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless like you pop their helmets off. And so, like I said, the attention to detail was awesome. The AI was on point. Like the fact that they peeked around corners, that seems mundane nowadays. You play a video game, but like I said, before Medal of Honor, that was unheard of. Enemies peek behind corners, shooting and then popping back in cover. And I was like, oh man, like I remember thinking to myself, like, man, this is real. Like, and they were doing that. You throw grenades, they'd kick the grenades back and stuff like that. And like, man, like, and so those games were awesome. And so me and my buddy Andre Carr, we were heavily anticipating this. And I remember we got the demo, the PS2 Underground demo disc with this out, and then played the level in the town that was basically like the scene in Saving Private Ryan when Vin Diesel dies and they encounter the sniper. Like basically that whole scene like in a level. And man, like, it just blew me away. The graphics were so on par. And when I actually got the game and played the Normandy level, like, holy crap. Like, that, like I said, I can't say enough good things about that game. So, Medal of Honor Frontline was definitely one of the ones that, like, definitely, like, had me, like, all kinds of crazy, like, on the PS2. Let's see. Here, of course, going back to one of the oldest ones, Tekken Tag Tournament. I'm a huge Tekken fan. Tekken 3 was my favorite fighting game on the PlayStation 1, one of them. I don't know if that's the case now, but definitely in my first initial playthrough, like while growing up with the PlayStation 1, like Tekken 3 stood tall above everybody else. Well, not everybody, because Soul Blade was right there. Soul Blade and Tekken 3. Like, those are the two of the best fighting games on the system, my two favorites, and they were basically neck and neck. But this was a launch title, like, man, like, again, like, Namco, like, they always squeeze as much juice out of the system as they could in terms of graphics and stuff like that. And, I mean, this shows, like, this game, like, looked phenomenal. The animation was smooth. It was a constant 60 frames a second. Like, it had a huge roster of characters. And, yeah, Tekken Tag Tournament, badass. I'm still the man at this. I remember me and my friend Andre, we used to go back and forth on this game and a bunch of other fighting games. And we used to play each other in the fighting games, and we would put games up, like games we wanted to trade. Well, like, oh man, if you beat me certain times in a row, I'll give you this game for free, certain things like that. So, like I said, some fond memories of that. Like I said, I gotta squeeze them in because I'm kind of low on space. Let's see, Rez. I talked about Rez. I pulled that out. That was one of my favorites. Rez. What else we got here? Let's see. Oh, Tenchu. So that's another game that I didn't talk about on PlayStation 1. The Tenchu series. Man, Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. I think this might have had a demo or had a movie on that same demo disc that had Medal of Honor Frontline. And man, when this came out, I mean, this again, like, this was on some next level stuff. The graphics were awesome. The storyline was dope. You got 3 playable characters, 26 missions. Had the versus mode in that. You know, Wrath of Heaven, man, was on point. And they had a sequel they also have here, Fatal Shadows. That was good, not quite as good as Wrath of Heaven, mainly because Rikimaru was absent. But yeah, man, like, that game was cool. Let's see, I got The Warriors. The Warriors is badass. Another beat 'em up. Like I said, this is based on the movie. So, I mean, like I said, this is done by Rockstar, and it's kind of like semi-open world. I mean, you kind of run around the city. You can commit petty crimes to earn cash and stuff like that, breaking people's car and steal their radio, mug people, stuff like that, man. The Warriors, on point. And so that was basically it, like, as far as, like, my gaming history. You know, as far as living at home, of course, you know, as I got older and moved out, I got you know, when the 7th generation popped off, I got I got the Xbox 360 first, because when I got had the PlayStation 2 and played that for years, but then sometime later I finally bought an Xbox and loved the Xbox and was playing the Xbox. The Xbox 360 comes out, it came out a year before the PS3. And I'm working full-time at Krispy Kreme back then, and I was making a lot of money. Actually, I was still living at home at the time, so I had, like, just a crap ton of disposable income to say, you know what, man, I bought an HD TV, as I actually still have it, and this was in, like, '06. Bought an HD TV, it was a 32-inch, and at the time, it's a 32-inch, 720p, $800 is what I paid for that TV. Paid $800 for that TV, got the Xbox 360, and like I said, I just love that. But that's all behind the camera on the Microsoft side of the game corner here. And so, I mean, I was huge into Halo. I mean, I got it first mainly because, one, it came out first, but 2, I didn't wait for a PS3 because PS3, while I'm very fond of the system now, I think it actually might be my largest collection. I got about 100 games for it. And I got about 100 for the PS2 too. I think they're about the same. They might be off by one number, but those are definitely my 2 largest collections in my collection. But like I said, I had so many games for the PS2. I love the PS2. Like, that was my system. Like, and so, I mean, there were so many great games and I was playing my PS2 every day anyway. Even when I got my Xbox 360, I'd still take time out and play my PS2. So I'm like, man, I don't need a PS3 yet. Like, any of the new games I want, I'll get them on the 360, and I'll just keep playing my PS2 because my PS2 is awesome. And so that's what I did for a lot of years until Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. When Guns of the Patriots came out and it was exclusive, I broke down and bought a system, you know, for that. So then I finally started collecting PS3, but, you know, before that, it was just like, I mean, the library on the PS2 was so good. I mean, there's like 4,000 officially released games for it. I don't know what the American or the U.S. or North American set consists of, but I mean, it's got to consist of at least half that, you know. And when you think about the fact that, and see, that's the thing about the PlayStation. That's another reason why I'm glad I chose PlayStation over N64, because, you know, the U.S. set is like 358 games, I think, for the N64, whereas the American set for the PS1 is like 2,500 or something like that. So, or maybe 2,500 was the overall number. But like I said, there were so many games to play on the PS1, and no matter what you were into, whether it was sports or RPGs, whether strategy, action, turn-based RPGs, fighting games, racing games, platformer games, they had all of it. You know, Nintendo was killing them with the 3D platformers, though. You know, between Nintendo and Rare, like, Sony was not messing with them. We got Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot and Klonoa, you know, so we were good to go. But I mean, like I said, overall, like I said, I'm glad we made the choice, you know, and moved to Sony. And so, like I said, that's why we Sony fanboys out here. So, like I said, that's basically gonna do it. That's, you know, my gaming history. You know, these days I'm basically, you know, I'm going the nostalgic route. So I'm going back trying to get all the games I used to have. You know, some of the titles, you know, I used to have like Rule of Rose. I remember I played that game. I liked that game. The combat was kind of dumb, like the way you fought enemies kind of sucked. And so I remember playing it, and it was a cool game though. The graphics were cool and had a crazy story. But I ended up trading it off, and then like a few years ago, I'm like, man, I'm gonna play that game again. And so I went back looking for it, couldn't find it. It's like, well, man, let me try to find it on eBay. And at the time, that game was like $400. That was at its peak. It's since gone down to about $200 as of like the time of this video. So. 200 still rich for my blood. If somebody's got it, you know, for under 200, and you know, maybe we can work out a trade some stuff towards it. But I mean, the most I'll pay for that game is like maybe $100, which is probably why I'll never own that game again. So, like I said, that's one thing. Like I said, I'm on a PSP kick right now, so I'm getting some more titles for the PSP, more for the Vita. I've got almost all the games I want on the Wii U and the Wii, and so. And you know, like I said, just collecting some stuff for that. So, but like I said, just let me know in the comments just kind of what you think about this video. You know, any questions, comments, concerns, threats that I can answer for you. But like I said, I got to get up early in the morning, so I think I'm gonna stop the video there. Go make myself something to eat and watch some TV and crash out. So as always, I'm Lightsaber Samurai. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hitting that like and subscribe button. And until next time. And see, normally the video would stop automatically there because it would edit it, but now I got to go around and shut the camera off and do that whole thing. So yeah, that's about it. I'm trying to think, is there anything I want to show, anything I want to talk about real quick before I go? Nope, I think that's gonna do it. So like I said, if you're not one of the 2 people that were watching this earlier, you can go back and catch this. It should save to my channel, so you can come back and watch this another time. So that's about it. You guys have a good night.